So you're thinking about investing, but you've also heard the stories, right? The whispers about people losing their shirts, the warnings from well-meaning friends. Some of these might sound pretty familiar. This is a big one. You hear it all the time. This idea that the stock market is basically just a giant, unpredictable casino where your money could just poof, vanish. And then there's this one, which always hits a little closer to home. It feels like everyone knows someone who has a horror story, a cautionary tale that just, makes all those fears feel even more real. Which all kind of boils down to this, right? The constant checking, the ups and downs. It's an emotional roller coaster, and who needs that stress? And this feeling seems to be backed up by a very scary, very big number. 90%. That's the statistic that gets thrown around. The 9 out of 10 investors end up losing money. And wow, that is a number that can stop you dead in your tracks. But it also makes you wonder, doesn't it? Because if 90% are losing, that means 10% are winning, quietly, consistently building wealth. And the difference isn't some secret formula. It's about avoiding some really common mistakes. These fall into two big buckets: the mistakes we make in our own heads and the ones we make in our actions. Let's start with what's going on upstairs. Okay, so first up, the mistakes of the mind. This is all about the battle that happens inside every single investor. It's a tug of war between calm, rational thinking and our very human, very powerful emotions. And this slide pretty much nails it. I mean, we've all felt this. When the market is booming and everyone's making money, what does greed whisper in our ear? Buy more, you're a genius. So we buy high. But the moment the market dips, that greed turns into pure fear, and it's screaming, "Get out, sell everything." So we panic and sell low. We literally do the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do, all because of emotion. And a huge driver of that emotional roller coaster is FOMO, the fear of missing out. You know how it goes. A stock is suddenly all over your social media feed. Everyone is talking about it. It feels like the whole world is getting rich and you're being left behind. So you jump in, usually right at the very top, just in time for it to come crashing down. FOMO is basically a recipe for investing with zero plan. And what's underneath all this emotion? It's usually this one simple, incredibly dangerous thought. I want to get rich quick. That one desire is the fuel for almost every bad decision. Chasing hype, taking huge risks. But the irony is, the stock market is basically a machine that's designed to move money from the impatient to the patient. So yeah, getting your own psychology in check is a huge part of the battle. But even if you're the calmest person in the world, you can still fail if you're making some basic, practical errors in your approach. Let's look at those. I absolutely love this quote because it's so obviously true. Think about it. You would never ever buy a restaurant in your town without knowing what kind of food they serve, right? Or if they even have customers. And yet, people do this all the time with stocks, throwing thousands of dollars at companies they know literally nothing about. And that's because we need a fundamental mindset shift. You're not buying a flashy symbol on an app. You are buying a small piece of ownership in a real business. A business with employees, products, and customers. The second you forget that, you've stopped investing and you've started gambling. And when you're just gambling, you don't have a strategy. And this is what that looks like. It's like being on a ship in the middle of the ocean with no rudder and no map. Every piece of news, every market dip just tosses you around. You're not in control, the market is. And that is incredibly stressful. Here's another massive practical error. Investing money that you cannot afford to lose. I'm talking about your rent money, your emergency fund. If you invest that money, even a normal, healthy market correction is going to feel like the end of the world. It'll force you to sell at the worst possible time simply because you need that cash. This right here, this visual shows the huge gap between what new investors expect and what actually happens. People want life-changing money in a few months. But real wealth, the kind the legends build, takes years, often decades. And investing, patience isn't just a nice thing to have, it's everything. And the last big trap is just blindly following what other people are doing. You get a hot tip from a friend or see some influencer online pushing a stock. But here's the thing, that tip is for their goals, their financial situation, their risk tolerance. What's a great move for them could be a total disaster for you. Your plan has to be yours. So, we've gone through the psychological traps, the practical mistakes, and yeah, it can seem like a lot. But the fantastic news here is that succeeding isn't about being some kind of financial genius. It's just about being disciplined. So let's be crystal clear about who the real enemy is. It isn't the stock market. The market is just a tool. The real enemies are these things right here: jumping in without knowledge, being impatient, letting your emotions take the wheel, and just having no plan. These are what cause the losses. And here it is. This is the most powerful idea in all of investing. Take a look at that whole list of mistakes. Every single one is a choice. Every single one is completely within your control. You have the power to simply choose not to make them. So when you strip it all away, success really comes down to these three simple things. First, learn before you spend a single dollar. Second, treat patience like your superpower. And third, create a clear plan that works for you and your life. That's it. That's the foundation for flipping those 90-10 odds completely in your favor. So at the end of the day, instead of blaming the market, the only question that really matters is the one you ask yourself. It's not about being a fortune teller. It's about controlling what you can control. Your actions, your emotions, your plan. Are you putting yourself in a position to win?